Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Unlocking Lore, the storytelling podcast where we go around the world listening to different tales from very, very different traditions. And actually, we've been traveling quite a lot. We've been hearing stories from Vietnam, from England, many of them. The last time it was a Native American story. It's called The Ghost Wife. I'm not really sure, but I don't really want to say which tribe it is because I don't remember. I know I read it, but I don't remember. So, and everybody in the chat, thank you so much, Dunadan. Always great to see you, Sam. I hope you're having a very, very nice cup of tea this morning. And Avery Cruz, as always, so supportive of everybody in the community. Thank you so much, Avery. It is a real blast to have you here tonight. So, and we have Elijah tonight. Great to see you. Thank you so much for coming. You guys got to check it out tomorrow at 4 p.m. I'm just going to give you a nice shout out there, Elijah. She is going to be talking about knitting on Miss Martin's channel tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern or Central. I'm not really sure. I got to check. But definitely tomorrow. It will be tomorrow. So I'm going to go check that out, definitely. Last time I was on Miss Martin's channel, we were just talking about crocheting, and now it is time for the double needles to go in, which is knitting. So awesome. Thank you so much. We are really growing as a community, and it is such a pleasure, to just hang out with everybody like that. So yeah, tonight I have a special tale. This is a premiere. It's an old English tale that I have recently worked. I heard it from a previous storyteller, a great storyteller named Richard Martin. He's actually my colleague. He is an English teacher, second language English teacher, who resides in Germany, who has been residing for many, many years now. He's English. And but he has specialized in storytelling. And actually, he was my first contact with the storytelling community, both in the States and worldwide. So you could say, yeah, like first contact. So yeah, he has his own channel on Vimeo or Vimeo or however you want to call it. I don't want to butcher names like Dan does. like he did the Scuttlebutt, the Scarab Scuttlebutt podcast. That was so hilarious. And Rick, you guys gotta be careful with Rick, man. He really knows how to do his videos. So that was just hilarious. But yeah, Richard is a really, really great person. He allows people to use his stories that he puts up, obviously, on his Vimeo channel and his own website for anybody who would like to use them. These are all public domain. He has no personal stories. So I really heard this story and I just fell in love with it. And that's really important for any artist, whether it be performing artists or crocheting or knitting communities. Tabitha can relate to this. You have to love what you do. You have to love what you do, because if it doesn't come out, if you don't do it, if it doesn't come from the heart, it's not the same. It's definitely not the same. So as an artist, I can tell you this. I only tell stories that really, really strike a chord in me. So yeah, this one is going to be very, very special. I hope you guys like it, and as I said, it's premiering. This is just recently acquired into my repertoire. I I have over 30 tales for the time being, sort of. And that's not much, huh? I got people who have who know more than 100 stories, and I'm not exaggerating. They know more than 100 tales, and they have traveled worldwide telling these tales uh, to anybody who is out there listening. So yes, Sam, it has to be. I'm going to highlight this right here, right there. It has to be from. Let's see, there we go. It has to be from the heart. It has to be from the heart because both as an artist and as a listener, I can tell people can tell when it's not striking a chord, um, and that's very very important. It has to be something that goes deep. So yeah, it's gonna be good. I hope you guys like it, and let's begin. Once upon a time, in a faraway land near Baghdad, there lived a king who had but one son. And this boy, well, he was like all boys, mischievous. And he had this one favorite toy. And you would think it was something for building or some sort of weapon. No, it was a golden ball. Mhm. A golden ball. And he would go around the city, playing with his guards at the back, and he would just throw it up and catch it. Sometimes he would throw it against a wall, it would bounce back, he would catch it. That was his favorite toy. He would go around everywhere with it. Now, like I said, he was mischievous, like all boys of his age. And he was near the well that day, just throwing up the ball and looking at the people, when he saw a woman. She just grabbed a jar full of water and put it on her head to go back home. When an idea popped into his brain, he stealthily, the boy, grabbed the ball, aimed it, threw it, and he watched, laughing, as the old woman was completely drenched in the broken jar, all the water poured onto her. And like all boys at that age, he was just laughing and laughing and laughing. But the woman wasn't. She got up to him and said, "For this, I curse you. I curse you to one day when you're big to fall in love with the silent princess." And with that, she turned around and she left. Now, boys being boys, he didn't care much about any princess, much less a silent princess. And a curse? Who cares about a curse? So he just grabbed his golden ball and went home. And the boy grew up. He grew up tall, handsome. And as young boys young adults at that age, he started to think about love and, well, the time would come when he would marry, and at that time, the curse flared, and he started to think, the silent princess, the silent princess. Who is the silent princess? Where can she be? Why is she silent? Day and night he would think about her. He would wonder, he would question. And time went by, and that curse grew ever stronger. For his desire to meet the silent princess also grew. And it got to the point where he couldn't think of anything else. He couldn't think of hunting, his lessons and ruling his father, nothing. He could only think of the silent princess. And it really got to him because he started to not eat. Soon, he didn't even want to drink water. He would just lie down in bed. The king got worried. He went to his son and asked him what happened. And, well, like sometimes happens, the young man opened his heart and told them how many years ago a woman cursed him to fall in love with the silent princess, and now he couldn't think of anything else. He needed to find that girl. The king, shocked by the news, knew that he couldn't do anything. So he sat down by the boy, looked him in the eyes and said, "My son, whether it be curse or fate, you have to confront it. But I can tell you now, you will not find her here. So tomorrow get up early. Strap yourself with the warmest clothes, the toughest clothes. Take a sack and go out into the world. Find her." And the boy did what his father advised. The next morning, he got up, he dressed, he grabbed his sack, and without anyone knowing, he left the palace. He walked to the end of the kingdom. He looked around. This could be the last time he would see his home. But no matter. Whether it be curse or fate, he would confront it. And off he went. And he traveled from village to village, from town to town. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. And every time he would pass some sort of village or any civilization, he would ask, has anyone ever heard of the silent princess and where I can find her? But no one could find her. No one knew. So on he went until the months finally turned into a year. His clothes ragged, his sack lost, but the boy wouldn't give up till he reached a mountain that went high up. Would he climb it? He didn't have the strength to, but he would try. So he set on the path, and right at the bottom of the mountain, he found an old man. He went up and asked, "Excuse me, do you know of the silent princess and where I can find her?" The man looked at him and said, "You're on the right path. This is the path that takes you to a palace where there is a silent princess. She has vowed never to say a word, and she will only marry the man that can make her speak." The boy was overjoyed. Finally, he found her. And he started up. But the old man tried to warn him and say, "But wait. If you do not make her speak in one night, at dawn, you will be dead, for they will chop off your head." But the boy wouldn't listen. He already lost his heart. What would he care if he lost his head? So up he went. And up and up and up and up he climbed that mountain, till finally, over the clouds, he saw it. A magnificent palace, white and glittering. But as he got closer, he looked down, and what he saw stunned him. Left and right, there were white bones and skulls of the men who were decapitated for not making the princess talk. But no matter, he would be the one. And he continued his journey until finally he reached the palace and gave 3 big knocks. The doors opened, and inside he went. The guards took him to the palace hall, where there was a great king there. The boy knelt down and said, "Your Majesty, I am here for your daughter, the silent princess." The king looked at him and said, "Another one who wants to die. How quick you all are to lose your heads. Leave before something else happens." But the young man said, "Your Majesty, I've already lost my heart. What would happen if I lost my head?" So the king said to the servant, "Take him, dress him up, clean him, and then at night, take him to my daughter, and you will bear witness. If she doesn't talk..." The servant bowed to the king and led the way for the young boy. Clean and with fresh clothes, he was very handsome. And at dusk, the servant took him to where the silent princess was. He opened the door, and a beautiful bedchamber. And in the middle was a canopy bed, and the princess with a veil. The young man knew she was the one. So he grabbed a cushion, sat down near the wall. But he didn't say anything. He just sat there looking at her. The servant stood by him, looking to see what he would do to make the princess talk. After a time, the young man looked at the servant and said, "Come on, tell us a story, to pass the time." The servant looked and said, "Nope, I'm here to observe, not to tell stories." "Well, all right then, I'll tell them." And the boy sat back and said, "Once upon a time, there were three friends, and they were good friends. But unfortunately, they fell in love with the same woman. And since they were all very handsome and very good men, the girl didn't know which to choose. So she said, 'Go out into the world and find out something and bring it back here.'" Oh, the young men decided that yes, okay, that's a very, very good idea. So they set off. And off they went and they walked and they walked together, talking merrily and saying what they would do to gain the heart of this young girl. Until finally they decided to split up into three different directions. And they would meet at one point, at a certain point of time. So off they went. The first friend, well, he learned something very useful. He learned the skill of sight. For he found a famous telescope that would see everything that he wanted. Happily, he went back to the place where they were going to get together, the three friends. The second one wandered the world. He too found something very interesting. He found the skill of flight, for he found a magic carpet. He got on the magic carpet and flew all the way back to the point where the three friends were going to meet. And the third one, well, the third one was very lucky. He learned the gift of life. For during his journeys, he had helped out somebody, and that somebody gave him some sort of liquor that would bring anybody back to life or cure any sort of disease. Happily, the friend, went back to the place where they would meet. Until finally, the three friends saw each other. And they talked about all their journeys and all the things that they learned. Until finally, the first friend looked in his telescope to see the beautiful girl that they had fallen in love with. And what he saw was terrible. Grabbing one of the friends, he said, "Friends, our beloved, she's dying." The two friends were startled, said, "What? I can see her through my telescope. She's on her last breath." The second friend, "Quickly, get on my magic carpet. We gotta go." And off they went, the three friends on the magic carpet, all the way to the place where the girl was. But it was too late. She died in the arms of her father. Desperate and in pain, the two friends grabbed onto each other and hugged each other. And the third friend said, "Stop. I can help." He took out the liquor, opened it, and gave it to the girl. And she came back to life. She opened her eyes and opened her ears. But the first thing that she heard was the three friends arguing as to who she would marry. Because one said, well, I saw her, she was dying, and I told you guys. Yes, well, but I was the one who brought us all here. Yes, but I was the one who used the liquor and brought her back to life. She should marry me. And at that point, the young man who was telling the story closed his mouth. The servant, who was listening so attentively, said, what's the end? Who does she belong to? I don't know, said the young man. I only heard it until that point. Well, perhaps tomorrow we'll ask the king's ministers, the wise men. They should know, because I desperately need to know the end of this story, said the young man as he gasped. But tomorrow I will die. We will never know. And the silent princess could be silent no longer. Fools, she said. She obviously doesn't belong to any of them. And if she did have to choose, well then, she should marry the one who brought her back to life. I mean, that's the one who really gave her the spirit. And then silence. As the princess knew how she was tricked into speaking. Dawn came up, the door opened, and the king went in and said, well, servant, execute him. But the servant said, but she spoke, your majesty. She spoke? But the silent princess didn't say a word. And with her fingers, she said that if the young man, didn't want to lose his head, tonight, a second time, he would have to make her speak. So, again at night, the young man went into the room with the silent princess, the servant standing there, observing everything. The boy grabbed the cushion, sat down against the wall, propped his head, and didn't say anything, just looked around. And time went by until finally he looked at the servant and said, oh, come on. Now it's your time to tell a story. Just to pass off the time. The servant looked at the boy and said, nope. I'm not here to tell stories. I'm here to observe. Okay, fine. I'll tell the story, just to pass the time. There's nothing bad with a good story. You see, once upon a time, there was a couple who was being taken by their coachman to a long, long place. But it was so long that they had to take the night in some sort of shed that they found in the woods. It was a very, very big woods. So, during the night, as the three fell asleep, robbers came in. And even though the woman was able to go out, the two men were killed. The robbers grabbed everything they could and they left. During the morning, the woman came back, and what she saw horrified her, for they were decapitated. Desperate to have them both back, her husband and the coachman, she grabbed the heads and she put it on the bodies. And she knelt down and prayed to God that He would give a miracle and bring them back to life. And if miracles don't happen in real life, they sure do happen in stories. Because at dawn, amazingly enough, God gave them breath. And they came back to life. The woman was overjoyed until she saw what she did. By accident, she put the wrong head on the wrong body. And she was so horrified that she didn't notice uh, how that they were exchanged. Now what would she do? Who was she married to? And the coachman and the husband, they were both arguing, saying, "No, she belongs to me. No, she belongs to me." And at that moment, the young man closed his mouth. The servant, who was listening attentively, said, "Well, who does she belong to?" "I don't know," said the young man. "I only know the story until then. I just wish I knew the end. But that won't happen. For tomorrow, I will be executed." And the silent princess could be silent no longer. "Fools," she said. "It's clear enough that she didn't belong to anybody. And if she did have to choose, well, she would obviously choose the man who had her husband's head, because that's where the memories are, and he would remember the life that they had together." And it was silent. At dawn, the king came in. "Servant, execute him." But she spoke, Your Majesty." "She spoke?" "Yes." But the silent princess said with her fingers that if he didn't want to lose his head, he didn't have to make her talk once, not twice, but 3 times. The next night, a young man came in, the silent princess with her veil over her head. The servant, standing up, looking around, thinking, what would he do this time? The young man grabbed the pillow, put it on the floor, sat back by the wall, propped his head up, and looked around. Until some time had passed, and he looked at the servant and said, "Oh, come on now, it really is your turn to tell the story. To pass the time. It really does get a little bit boring without a story." And the servant said, "Nope, I don't tell stories," with a glint in his eye. "I only observe." All right, fine. I'll tell the story. It really is boring when everybody is silent. You see, once upon a time, there were three men who were traveling together in the woods. It was a big woods. It's probably the same woods as the coachman and the husband and the wife. Very big woods. And they were walking, and they had to turn in for the night. But they didn't find the shed. So they decided to break camp right there. And because of the robbers, of the previous story, they decided to take shifts. Now, the first man was a carpenter with all his things, his chisels, his saws, everything. And boy, was he a great artist. The second one was a tailor. And he carried his beautiful silks and his fabrics and his needles, everything to make a beautiful dress. And the third one, well, he was a holy man. And he would pray to God every night for the safety of this journey. So as the second and the third one slept, the first one, the carpenter, well, he was sitting down and just looking around until he turned his head and he found a beautiful big piece of wood. So gorgeous. With the artist's eye said, oh, what I could make with this. So beautiful. And during his shift, he grabbed that log and he started to chisel and to saw and to craft and to sculpt the most beautiful image of a young woman. But he was tired after all that time. And he went to wake up the tailor. He propped that image against a tree. He lay down and fell asleep. The tailor got up, warmed his hands near the fire, and started to look around, make sure that everything was safe until his eyes saw a beautiful image, a carved image of a woman. Oh, wow. What a beautiful sculpture, he said. But with my art, I could make her even more beautiful. So he quickly went to his bag. He took out the beautiful silks and the threads and the needles, and he started to cut, and sew until finally, after many hours during his shift, he created the most beautiful dress, and he put it on that carved woman. Wow, he said, what an artist. He went to wake up the holy man, but he was very tired, so once he woke up the holy man, he just dropped down and fell asleep. The holy man woke up. He went to the fire. He warmed his hands and he started to look around until finally he saw the beautiful carved woman. He went near her. Oh, such a gorgeous woman. But it would be even better if she were alive. So he knelt down on the floor and he prayed very fervently to God for a miracle, to make this beautiful image into a real woman. And if miracles do not happen in real life, they sure do happen in stories, because right then and there, the breath of life went into the woman and she had flesh and blood. And the holy man took her near to the fireplace and started to teach her how to speak, how to communicate. He taught her language. The next morning, the three of them got up and they looked at such a beautiful woman. They looked at each other and said, well, she should be mine. No, shouldn't be mine. No, 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 she should marry me, said the holy man. And they started to argue to see which one of them belonged to her. The carpenter said, no, 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 I carved her first. I should be the one to marry her. The tailor said, but I dressed her. She wouldn't be as gorgeous as that if it hadn't been for me. And the holy man, well, I was the one who prayed for her to give her breath, and she's alive because of me. She should marry me. And at that moment, the young man telling the story went silent. The servant could hold the door. But what's the end of the tale? Who does she marry? I don't know, said the young man. I only know until that part of the story. I wish I knew. And the silent princess could be silent no longer. Clearly, she said, the woman did not belong to any of them. But if she could choose, she would have to choose the holy man, for it brought her life, and it taught her to speak. She would choose him, just as I choose you, you who taught me again how to speak. And lifting her veil, the young man saw the most beautiful woman he had ever laid eyes on. And they did marry. And they did live happily ever after. Children came. And do you know who was the nanny? You probably guessed it. The woman. The woman that cursed him so many years ago. A curse that he would fall in love with the silent princess. And that is my tale. Thank you very much for those of you who stayed all the way to the end of this long tale. I didn't think it was going to take that long, but I'm so glad that you had such a great time. Thank you, Aleja. I see we have some new people in the chat. TD, thank you so much for coming. Aim and Faith, thank you very much. Avery, as always, another great story. Sam, thank you so much. It is, as you can see, it did strike a chord with me. It was a very, very, it's a very, very nice story, very fun. At the same time, it's very, very deep. So yeah, it was great fun. Rogue Disney, I'm sorry that you had to do. That you had to pay your bill and gonna listen your way home, and lurk. Ray Ron, we got something special for tomorrow, don't we? We have something very special. So tomorrow I'm gonna be with Ray Ron at 9 p.m. Eastern. I'm gonna be giving a premiere for a new dolly that I'm just finishing. So thank you very much. And yeah, it's an old English tale, but it's set in Baghdad, amazingly enough. They talk about the sultans, both sultans, but yeah, yeah, Sam, she's right there. Sailor Moon is nearly complete right now. She is just lacking her hair, but I couldn't resist and put her in the background because she's really turning out very very beautiful. I didn't think it would be that way, but you never know. That's that's how art is. Sometimes it's extremely surprising at some of the things that come out. And believe me, I have thrown away a few things from her, bows, other stuff. But I'm going to talk about that tomorrow. Yeah. So thank you so much. Let me see who else was in the chat. I think Tim was here. I don't know if Tim is still in there. Thank you so much for coming. I have like 13 people watching. This is like so big. I kind of can't really put attention to the comments during the story, nor like here, somewhere around here, okay, where my finger is pointing right now. On my screen, I see 13 people, and at one point, there were 16 people. So, well, 15 because I have my cell phone right here. It's like one less. But I do know that a lot of people have just jumped in and had to come out, obviously, but that's okay. But anyway, so thank you so much. News. So tomorrow, again, shout out to Aleja. Tomorrow she's going to be on Miss Martin's channel talking about knitting. You guys know that she has an Etsy store. She's probably sold out by now. She sells out like really really quick, which is really awesome. Yeah, Aleja, I know you get sold out so quickly. My Etsy store still has these two, and they don't sell. And even I even had a discount. No, it won't come out. Well, that's okay. But I'm really really happy that people are purchasing you from your Etsy store. So that's one thing. Then at 9 o'clock Eastern, yes, I will be with Rayron, premiering the Sailor Moon that is right behind me, and we're going to be digging into more of his stuff that he has. It's a decent problem to have. Very true. Um, he definitely has some more stuff to show us. Big, huge collection, and we're going to be chatting. And then, was it? I'm very confused now because no, Saturday, no, Monday. I have too much stuff. Yeah, I have to. I have to agree with that, Rayron. You have way too much stuff, but I love that you have it. I'm really happy because you get to show it off to all of us. That's really awesome. So on Monday, 8 o'clock Eastern, we R2 and I are going to be joined on After the Weekend by none other than Drunk 3PO. Yes, Drunk 3PO is going to be on our After the Weekend channel. Go check that out. In the description in the After the Weekend channel. Anyway, I'm going to be posting it again because it's going to be big. We are going to be reviewing UHF, which I have just recently watched yesterday. And I'm going to be giving out my thoughts. So it is going to be big. Drunk 3PO is going to be on our channel. That's so amazing. I was like, whoa. And Rick, obviously, he's out of this world. He had like a huge smile from cheek to cheek. I could hear it, over the phone when we said, what movie? UHF. UHF. You can find it online. It is a Weird Al Yankovic movie. It has a pretty nice cast. It has Fran Drescher. It has the little guy from Willow, the one of the magicians, the magician from Willow, like the dwarf, the old man. It's that one and a few others. Oh, Kramer from Seinfeld. So it has really interesting cast, really fun. Definitely an 80s movie, and it's just a no-brainer. So I'm going to give you that. My thoughts on that are to also and Drunk 3PO. This is so amazing, so cool. So anyway, yes, Sam, let's go. This is going to be so much fun. It's going to be an awesome week. But I do have to say that next week it is Christmas, and it is a very even though it's a very joyful time of year, it's a very busy time of year. So I gonna have to say that Unlocking Lore season 1 is going to be closing with this amazing story, The Silent Princess. Um, I am not going to be doing for a couple of weeks. I won't be doing any broadcasting on the channel, just probably maybe a few videos, but I will be doing some spaces. I may move Unlocking Lore to Twitter Spaces, um, just to keep it going, but official, but it's like extra official. No, but I will be keeping you guys posted on Twitter for that because it is very busy week next week, and then the following week it's going to be insane. You guys know how it is at the end of the year, so yeah. Maria getting Maria getting what? Drunk 3PO. Yeah, achievement unlocked. Yeah, definitely. What about Rumble? No, I do not do Rumble. I really want to channel all of everything, all of my content on YouTube. I have been asked if I would do on Twitch, but I feel like Twitch is like too much gaming for that. So, yep, Maria going on Maria going on leave. Yes. I'm going to be taking a small vacation, so that's let's take it like that. Take it like Unlocking Lore season 1 is wrapping up with this amazing story, and Unlocking Lore season 2 with a new intro, not new logo because I really like my logo, by the way. You can get the logo, the tie-dye stickers, all the stuff on my Teespring store in the merch right down there in the description below. You guys can check that out. Also, if you guys like to send me a tip, right down there is a link where you guys can send me some, buy me a cup of tea, buy me a cup of coffee, buy me a cinnamon roll. I love cinnamon rolls. So you guys can do that down in the description below. And with this, I hereby close Unlocking Lore season 1. Prepare for season 2 because there are going to be amazing stories coming up all your way, old traditional tales. So beware. Be bold, but not too bold. I wish everybody, for those of you who do celebrate it, a very happy Christmas. Happy holidays for those of you who don't. You guys will be in my thoughts and in my prayers as always. You guys are so amazing. And I will see you guys on Twitterverse, definitely. Spaces, there's going to be a few spaces. You never know. Thank you so much, Sam, for all the support. You have been there from the beginning. I can hands down, you were there, and I'm melting away with gratitude. What can I say? Thank you so much, everybody, and Unlocking Lore